Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Folks, what is up? And welcome to the Vol Talk podcast. You are here with myself, Blake, and you're here with my brother, Austin. And we are here to talk all things volunteer sports. But today, Austin, we are focused on previewing the upcoming matchup on Saturday, Tennessee Volunteer football versus Arkansas Razorbacks football. And brother, there's a bit of a headline coming into the game, at least for the Razorbacks. They have fired their head coach. They've got an interim head coach, a familiar interim head coach, but they also have glaring problems across their team. So we'll see. We'll get into all that, but it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. I'm rocking the national championship shirt from the baseball squad a couple years ago to remind Arkansas fans of what they do not have, which is a baseball national championship. So rocking that today. But yeah, you're right. It should be an interesting game. It's a revenge game for us. They beat us last year, Blake, and I'm still pissed off about it. I think a lot of us are. So yeah, I want to blow them out in Neyland, dude.
I absolutely do as well. And look, Arkansas fans, I've got a good buddy of mine that's an Arkansas fan. Shout out to Trevor. He did unfortunately kind of predict the upset last year. So shout out to him. But we're looking for revenge. And as you all can see, Austin and I have already taken a couple shots at Arkansas between our thumbnail and Austin reminding Arkansas fans we're not even in baseball season and he's taking shots. I love it. So yeah, we're looking for revenge. We're looking to kind of right that wrong that happened last year. Austin, brother, we don't have a quarterback who's running out of bounds on
That should
at the end of
help,
the game
Blake.
anymore.
That should help.
That should probably help. So, but we'll get into all that, folks. So, what we're going to do today on today's show is we're going to look at the situation for Arkansas real quickly. We're going to talk about Sam Pittman getting fired, Bobby Petrino coming in as interim head coach, and then we're going to go into the usual for the preview shows. We are going to we're going to review the Vols offense versus the Razorback defense, and then we'll review our defense versus the Razorback offense. And then, of course, we will end with our official score predictions, what we think is going to happen in Neyland on Saturday as the Razorbacks come to town. So, real quick, before we get into all of that, we got to say thank you to our listeners. We are barreling through the 700s, Austin. We are rocketing towards 800 already. Y'all have been showing, once again, a ton of support to the channel. So we thank you all so much for that. We are quickly approaching 800. So please, if you haven't already, do us a quick favor, subscribe to the channel. Of course, like the video. And Austin, we are returning once again to the premiere format, the live premiere format, which means that if you are watching this when it premieres at 8:30 Eastern on Tuesday, today, then you'll be able to jump in the live chat. So jump in there, talk with your fellow Vols fans. But if you're watching after the fact, you can drop us a comment and let us know what you all think. What is your official score prediction for the game on Saturday as the Razorbacks come to town? But Austin, without further ado, let's jump into the preview. And we are going to start, I believe, with just kind of the big headline coming into this game, right? So, funny story, we were actually, I don't remember what episode it was, Austin, but I want to say it was maybe the season review so far, the kind of playoff
No, I think it was
episode where we
Mississippi
were
State
talking.
review is when it happened.
That's right. That's right. It was Mississippi State review. We were reviewing the Mississippi State game, and I
We
want to say
broke
it
the
was
news.
Todd. Yeah, one of our chatters jumped in, and literally it had just happened. Sam Pittman was fired at Arkansas after their pretty bad loss to Notre Dame. And he was like, "Hey, have y'all seen yet? Pittman got fired." And we pulled it up, and sure enough, Austin, it had just dropped literally 5-10 minutes before that Sam Pittman, the head coach at Arkansas, was fired, and a familiar face, Austin, Bobby Petrino, has been
Back.
named the interim head coach.
Yeah. They hired him as OC, and that was already a big storyline. I think last year when they did that,
Yeah.
Blake, and then now he's back as the head coach of Arkansas. Now I don't know if it'll stick. especially after how it ended last time. If you don't know, you can go Google it. But it ended ugly, and it wasn't because he was a bad coach, Blake. He was actually a really good coach. But it was some moral issues that came up that caused him to lose his job the first time. But uh, for us, I think this is probably not the outcome we wanted, just because this is the interim head coach bump, as I like to say, Blake, which is the team is energized now. Sam Pittman's gone. They have Bobby Petrino in, and the team is going to get a little jolt of energy from that. Now, will that end up, impacting the result of the game? I hope not. Uh, but I think it does mean something. It is a little bit unfortunate. They fired him before their bye week. They're also coming off a bye, just as we are. Um, and Bobby Petrino is a great offensive coordinator. Listen, the problem with the Razorbacks this year, Blake, has not been the offense. Taylor Green and Bobby Petrino have been cooking on the offensive side of the ball. It's really been their defense that's been the big issue. And I get why they fired Pittman. I totally understand it. Like, every big game he found a way to lose. Like Ole Miss game this year, Blake, they were very close to winning that game. They actually looked really good in that game, and they found a way to lose at the end. And then you mentioned the Notre Dame beat down, 56-14 at home. You know, that's kind of inexcusable, especially with the Notre Dame team that doesn't look that dominant this year. They already have 2 losses, so I get why they got rid of Pittman.
Started 0-2.
Yeah, exactly. It started 0-2, so I get why they got rid of Pittman. But it's a little bit unfortunate, I think, for Tennessee.
It is definitely unfortunate. The timing, right before they come over to Neyland, like you said, they're going to get that bump, the little energy bump, especially with Bobby Petrino, and he is kind of a storied coach, so they'll get that little bump. But yeah, they have had their issues. Obviously, Pittman was fired for a reason. You mentioned Notre Dame and Ole Miss. They also let Memphis come back on them. Now,
Yeah,
Memphis looks like a pretty decent team, but they let Memphis come back and win that game. And so, how much of it is the team was not wanting to play for Sam Pittman versus, and the talent's there, but they just weren't playing for their coach, or it was bad coaching, and like you said, they found a way to lose, or how much of it is there are actual talent gaps on the team, there are issues on the team. I think it's probably a little bit of both. We'll
true.
get into kind of the gaps, but it is definitely, it's just our luck as Tennessee, right, that they would decide to fire Pittman right before our game.
I do think the players like to play for Pittman. I think what it mostly was that, there is a talent gap, and we will get into that. And that's the thing. It's gonna be a story with a lot of the rest of our season, Blake. There's really only one team, I believe, truly that can match us talent wise the rest of the year. And then another one that comes close. But so there is a talent gap there, but I think Pittman was just really bad at managing games. And so that's one thing that's worrying me. Like, if for some reason they can keep it close headed into the fourth quarter, I do think Bobby Petrino will do a better job at managing football games, because he's done it before. He's done it at several programs. He's had success, and he's found his way back in the SEC, probably where he wanted to be. It's probably why he took a coordinator job in the SEC, so that he could find his way back to being a head coach. And dude, with a couple marquee wins on the rest of their schedule, they might end up just hiring him full time. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they welcomed him back. I mean, if he wins, then who cares? All is forgiven, right, Blake?
Yeah, of course.
Especially these days, day and age in the SEC. So, I mean, we saw Hugh Freeze do it, very similar situation. So, but yeah, man, I hope that's not the case, because going back to the talent gap, there is a massive talent gap. So this really shouldn't be a close contest. And Vegas agrees. 12.5 point favorites for us at home. And we should have the energy too. Like, they have the interim head coach energy, Blake, but we should have the energy of, hey, a lot of you guys were on this team last year. Arkansas kept us from an SEC championship appearance last year and a potential first round bye. That should fire you up and get you ready for this game.
Absolutely. Want to be looking for revenge. Neyland should be rocking. Obviously, the fans want the revenge, and we're playing at home. That's a great advantage for us, right? As always. So, but yeah, it will be interesting, depending on how Arkansas comes out and plays against us, and then also the rest of the year. Who knows? Maybe this was Arkansas's plan all along. Hire Bobby Petrino back as OC. find a reason to fire Sam Pittman, and then all of a sudden you got old Bobby back. Um, Again, folks, like Austin said, go Google that. If the thumbnail is a little bit of an allusion to uh, what happened before, if you're not familiar with the story, go read up on it. But like Austin said, if you win, no sin is too great,
Yeah.
especially in the SEC. So definitely want to come in and take care of business against this Arkansas team so that they don't get any of that momentum from this coach bump, this interim coach bump. But Austin, let's jump into. So we've alluded to the talent gap. Obviously Taylor Green is their kind of marquee player. We'll talk about their offense versus our defense in a little bit. Let's start with our offense versus their defense, and I think this ultimately should be where the
Barbecue
game is
chicken,
decided.
buddy.
Right?
This is barbecue
Should be
chicken.
barbecue
This
chicken.
this
Walk us through
this
this.
matchup is the biggest discrepancy on paper that we've had all year as far as matchups are concerned. Like this, their defense is one of the worst in the country, and our offense is one of the best. So that should tell you, okay, hey, we should have success on offense, and we're at home. That's one factor compared to last year's game and this year's game. Other than the big one, which is we actually have a good quarterback now. The other one is it's at home, so communication won't be affected on offense. They should be able to go as fast as they like to go, tempo wise. And we have Joey Aguilar, and I've said this all year, Blake. There's not been any moment too big. Every time he's been asked to make a play when he's needed to, he has. So I don't expect any different in this game. Now Arkansas defensively, like I said, they'll help them out. I mean, they are fifth in power four right now in most yards given up per game with 425 yards per game. That's number one in the SEC, number one in a bad stat, so worse than the SEC. Most yards given up per game, and they haven't had the easiest schedule, but they've also, like you alluded to earlier, they did this against the likes of Memphis, and in the Notre Dame offense, they put up 56 at Arkansas. They haven't been lighting it up this year either on offense. So, and our offense has. So, with that being said, I think for the most part, it's a really good matchup on paper, man.
Yeah, and again, the number one thing for me that makes me feel confident is the freaking fireman, baby. I mean, shoot, we got a gunslinger who is one of the top QBs in the country. We, folks, if you missed our episode, well, actually, we dropped a clip on it. So go check out the clip on Aguilar. Statistically, Austin, he is, I mean, you brought us the cold, hard numbers. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, period, bottom line. And we've got these receivers that are running all over the field. And then that's leading our offense to being one of the top scoring offenses in the SC and in the country. So definitely like our chances against this Arkansas defense, particularly at home, as you said. What do you think the keys are for our offense? Even though, yes, Arkansas's defense has been a little porous this year, as you told us, still, obviously, we want to be able to. To me, I want to be able to put this game away early, right? So, what are the biggest keys for our offense to put the pedal to the metal and win the game early?
I think we have to shut down their best player on defense, which is Quincy Rhodes. He is a really good edge rusher, Blake. That is by far their best player from the numbers I'm looking at. He has multiple sacks on the season. PFF has him with 4. They don't do half sacks, so if he has a half sack in there, that could be why the number's different. But he has been really, really good this year. 88.8 pass rush grade. Now, what makes me feel good about that is that our tackles have been elite pass blocking. So like really you can't just move. A lot of times what teams do, Blake, is usually your left tackle, an offensive left tackle is their best offensive lineman, or at least their best tackle. So they put their best player at left tackle, and then they put their, you typically their less good right tackle on the other side. Well, luckily for our offense, there's really not a big drop off there. I mean, you could argue Jesse Perry is actually better than Lance Hurd. And, honestly, pass blocking wise, they've been right there and both been elite this year. So I feel pretty good about that matchup. I feel pretty good about being able to do that. And I also feel good because speaking of Joey, I mean, we mentioned on that Wednesday show, or excuse me, Tuesday show last week, if you haven't checked it out, that his pressure to sack rate has been really elite this year,
Yep.
5.4%, which is one of the best in the entire country. So that makes me feel really good as well. He's really good at evading pressure. And it's just been a good combination of the quarterback's good at evading pressure and the line's able to give him good clean pockets. So I feel, again, I feel pretty good, man. And that's really what I would see as their main threat to us. Their rush defense has also been pretty abysmal. And you know, we've been able to pretty much run the ball on everyone. You could argue we didn't run the ball in Georgia the entire game. But that last drive, we ran it right down their throats. So I think, again, we should be able to run the ball as well. And as far as like putting it away early, like I think, you know, just do what we always do on offense under Heupel, which is get off to a fast start. That again,
Mhm.
alluding back to last year's game, Blake, if you remember, that was one of the games we put up 0 points in the first half. That
Yep.
was that
Yep.
that I think it might have started that streak of putting up zero
I
points
think so. Yeah.
in the first half. So we can't do that this year. We obviously can't do that, especially with how good you know, Arkansas is offensively, and we'll get into more of the nitty gritty details on that in a bit. But so yeah, I think a fast start is going to be extremely important. And I think shutting down their best edge rusher, we'll be able to do, which makes me feel good that we'll be able to do what we want in the pass game.
It does. The O line definitely is making us feel a lot better about the pass rush and our ability to stop the pass rush. And then, of course, Joey Aguilar. Right, we are not feeling scared about not being able to put up a point in the first
Yep,
half in the
exactly.
SEC. Because our quarterback is no longer named Nico, so that is definitely good news. But awesome, you've already kind of talked about a little bit about the defense. Do you have any final thoughts on our offense versus their defense before we jump over to our defense versus their offense?
No, other than I would love to see us have zero drops in this game. I would love to see that start reverting back to the mean a little bit. That's been really, really rough this year, Blake. We mentioned that again in last week's show if you want to go check that out. But we've had drop issues, and that's led to Joey Aguilar being very unlucky in the turnover department. So I would like to see that stop for one, so that we could win the game handily and I don't have to stress out when I'm in the stadium, Blake. And for two, because we want to start pushing this Joey Aguilar Heisman campaign, man. I want to start pushing it, dude.
Yes, sir.
I do. And the thing is that at the end of the day, even though there's a lot of good context that's available to us, whether you watch the game yourself or a source like PFF that says Joey Aguilar's turnovers have been extremely unlucky to an unbelievable degree, one turnover worthy play to five interceptions. That is just a crazy ratio, Blake. It's usually the other way. Usually you have more turnover worthy plays than you do interceptions because again, PFF, they'll dock you for a turnover worthy play even if the defender drops it. If you throw it right to a defender and they drop it, Blake, then that's still a turnover worthy play. But he hasn't even been doing that. He's it's gone the other way. He's gotten extremely unlucky with it. His receivers have let him down. So I want to see a guy like Mike Matthews, who has been really good this year, Blake. Like as far as separation and getting open is concerned, he's been really elite. The problem is he's top 10 in the country in drops. Like we want that to go away. We want that to go away. And I think it can, dude. I think it's been mostly variant so far. So I want to see that chill out in this game. No more unlucky interceptions for the firemen.
I like that. I'm glad you brought that up for sure because I think that's one of those things that we need to clean up. We have to clean up heading into another red team after this week, right? We're going to need our receivers to pull in the ball when Joey gets it in their hands. And you hope, Austin, you hope that the bye week was able to kind of help right some of those things that have been wrong, right? The coaches and the players have been able to get in the film room, kind of identify, okay, here's some of our weaknesses, including these drops. And hey, we got to focus on fundamentals for receivers. That's catching the football. Mike Matthews, Kitzelman had a couple
Yes.
drops,
And
even one, I
Staley as
believe, that
well.
led to
And
Staley as well.
and
Yeah.
speaking of
So,
Staley, shouting out special teams, Blake, since you love special teams, I'm typically the one that's hating on it. I want to see that be better too. I want to see Boo Carter
yeah.
returning punts, full time punt returner Boo Carter. I
Yes.
don't think we need multiple punt returners. I don't really get that. I don't understand that philosophy. Um, I think it needs to be Boo Carter. He's the most electric back there. And listen, he's had a muff punt this year as well that we recovered. I believe that was against Georgia, so that was crucial. But I still trust Boo the most. I think Boo has been back there more than anyone, and he's also electric in the punt return game. So I want Staley to focus on offense. He's been a good receiver, Blake. Again, outside of some just mental mistakes in that Mississippi State game, overall, Staley has been a good receiver this year. I think we can all agree on that. So yeah, I want to see that happen as well, offensively and special teams wise.
Definitely agree with you there. Boo Carter, we gotta get him where he plays best. So good stuff, man. I totally agree with you on everything that you brought up on the offense. Aguilar, huge key, obviously. Let's see, no more drop passes. Let's shut down their edge rush with the O line. Let's pound the ground game as well. Get off to a hot start. Get up
See,
early. Let's see.
let's see
But
350 yards and 4 tutties from Aguilar in this game. How about that? I'll throw that prediction out
dude,
there. 350 and 4 tutties from the fireman this game, Blake.
dude, I love that. Definitely want to see that because the best thing you said was let's get this campaign going. Let's leave no doubt in those voters' minds. Okay, Joey freaking Swagular winning the Heisman. So definitely would love to see huge numbers like that. But Austin, we've been alluding to their offense is nothing to slouch, or is no slouch, nothing to balk at. Their offense is not too bad. Taylon Green back there at quarterback, he had a pretty, as usual, as quarterbacks do, had a pretty great game against us last year.
To
And
say the
of course,
least.
our defense, that's been, to say the least. And then our defense has been, it's weird, right? Because our defense has some
Yeah.
good stats, but then they've allowed these points. And in most people's minds, our defense has been kind of the issue this year. So, Austin, talk us through the keys to our defense versus their offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does start at their quarterback, like you said, Taylon Green. He's had another good year. He's had a little bit of a turnover issue this year, I would say. Um, and that's kind of always been his thing, but this year, I think, than last year. Like right now with PFF, he has already 9 turnover he plays on the year. And they've had a tough schedule, so they've played some tough defenses already in Ole Miss and Notre Dame. But like you said, man, our defense is it's an interesting unit because I think, we looked at the Mississippi State games, thinking back on that game in retrospect, even after our review, and we're like, man, this defense played better than we really thought they did. I mean, they created 2 touchdowns. They are elite rushing the passer. Overall, the coverage unit has been pretty good. The issue has been the run defense. Which is concerning when you take into account Taylon Green and what he can do with his legs. That's probably his
Yep.
biggest strength as a player is what he brings scrambling, and just running the football. And he showed that last year, Blake. Like you said, Taylon Green was incredible against us last year. Kind of his coming out party, if you will, Blake. Had I believe his second highest passing grade against us last year, and his first highest was against Mississippi State, and they had a horrendous defense last year. So, yeah, it was weird. I mean, even in that game, it was like a lot of it was tight coverage. It was good, like solid coverage by us, but Taylon Green just made plays. Um, I will say one thing that could be a huge factor in stopping that is Nealand. Nealand is going to be a big factor in that.
Yes.
Bobby Bertrino was asked about Nealand this week, and he says he'll feel like his guys can handle it. That's an interesting thing to say coming from Bobby. He hasn't been a SEC head coach in a while, Blake, so maybe he doesn't remember the noise or whatever. But it's going to be loud in Nealand, brother. It's going to be loud in Nealand. So I fully expect that to impact the game a little bit. But like you said, it is this weird, uncanny thing where quarterbacks decide to have their best game against us every year. It feels like this happens at least once or twice a year. So that could happen again. I think if it happens in this game, it's going to be on the ground though. Like we've seen, we've struggled filling gaps, Blake, at times this year.
Yeah.
We saw that against Mississippi State. And Taylor Green's going to be a big part of that. So hopefully there's a good game plan. You hope that. And obviously, I expect there to be a spy, whether that's Arion Carter, likely Arion Carter. I don't think T. Linder's up to that task. I don't know if he has the athleticism, Blake, but I think Arion Carter could be possibly up to that task. So yeah, we'll see.
Man, throwing T-Lander under the bus. Can't
He
imagine
he has
why. That's
struggled this
crazy.
year. So
Yeah. Well, look, Austin, you mentioned Neeland. We forgot to mention to the folks that you are once again going to bring us some live in-person reporting. Well, sorry, you're not going to go live from the game, but you're going
no,
to be able to bring us some in-person reporting after the fact because
yes.
you are, in fact, going to be at the game, being a part of that disruption, a part of the noise. And again, the players hopefully remember the feeling of Arkansas kind of putting a damper on our season, but the fans better remember it as well, and the
Oh yeah.
fans better bring their A game and bring a Rockets environment.
Well, Blake, I want to take the second half off. I want Aguilar and me to be
Right.
on the bench, if you will, in the second half. Like I want to chill second half. I want to get this job done in the first half and just chill the rest of the time in Neyland. Hopefully, people air out of the student section a little bit to give your boys some room in there. That's my hope for the game, and we'll see, man. It's gonna come down. It really is gonna come down to the defense because I feel extremely confident in our offense this
Yeah.
game. Um, I don't know if I am as confident in the defense. Blake, breaking news: David Hobbs is back. He will be playing this week for the first time this
Nice.
season. He will be making his
Incredible.
season debut. I think that could help in multiple ways, Blake. I think it could help the run defense, obviously, interior defensive lineman, but also, maybe more importantly, I think we could get an interior pass rush for really the first time this season. That's been the one thing lacking as far as our pass rush is concerned, is the interior presence. I think Hobbs will bring that to the table, which is absurd, man. Because if you bring that to the table, this pass rush is going to be unstoppable. I mean, I've already starting to throw out the idea around Dakota this week that I think this pass rush is better than last year. And I know that's insane with James
Wow.
Pierce, and James Pierce brought a ton of production last year, specifically with pressures, which I know doesn't show up on traditional box scores. But I think the depth this year, man, we have more depth than ever this year. A lot of the guys that were on the roster last year have developed and gotten better as pass rushers. Josephs has become an absolute star. So then you throw Hobbs in the mix, getting interior pressure. That's going to be a huge factor in the game as well. Unfortunately, Jermon McCoy is out though. That's another guy that we were looking at, Blake, talking on the bye week. We're like, here are the guys that could potentially be back. Unfortunately, McCoy is not going to be one of those guys.
Yeah, it's great news to hear about Hobbs. We're very, very happy to hear about that for sure. But yeah, we saw earlier that McCoy once again is most likely, at least the reports are. Heupel was still kind of when he was talking about it in the press conference, he was still kind of no pun intended, but he was kind of coy about it, not giving a lot of information. But the reports are saying that he's unlikely to play again this week. Man, I don't want to jump the gun. We'll preview the other red team come next week, but obviously we're gonna need him in a big way come the third Saturday in October. So hopefully he just needs one more week to get healthy. But definitely unfortunate that Jermon McCoy is out this game. Man, this defense, if we can pull it together, if we can shore up that run defense like you've been talking about and contain Taylor Green, then maybe you will get your wish, Austin. Maybe you'll get the second half off. Maybe you can, like you said, have a little bit more elbow room. I know you love your elbow room, brother. I do too. Maybe just chill with a dog and a beer. We'll see. But
Yeah.
if Austin, what could go wrong and what could keep Arkansas in this game and maybe turn it into a shootout? Is it going to be the ground game? Is Talon, is that the worst case scenario that Talon Green just kind of runs all over us?
I do think that is one possible worst case scenario is Talon Green just rushing for like 200 yards on us. Another one is they actually do have a really solid left tackle. Their left tackle is actually pretty good. Corey Robinson, he transferred there this past season. He's been really good in pass pro, but luckily their other tackle has not been very good. So that makes me feel better because again, I think we have the depth, and that's the nice thing about defense, Blake, is you can move guys around. So Josephs doesn't have to line up across their best left tackle. And they did give up 3 sacks last week to Notre Dame, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago, Arkansas. That is. I think we're fully capable of getting similar numbers. I mean, that's at Arkansas. That's without the noise on offense, and Notre Dame. They traditionally have a pretty good defense, but I think our pass rush can hang with anyone. And I mean, we went over the numbers on Tuesday, leading the college football in sacks. Now that might have changed after the bye week, but on a per sack or per game basis, we're probably still number one, Blake. So um, yeah, so I do think we're going to be able to get to the quarterback. Now the question is, can we actually take him down? That was a big issue last year, is
Right.
keeping him contained in the pocket and actually completing the sack. That was honestly a big problem in James Pierce's game, is actually being able to finish plays, and that's kind of translating to the NFL level as well. So I think we have guys that can actually finish now. Maybe not as elite on a down to down perspective, but I think they can actually finish plays, finish sacks. We saw that last week with Mississippi State. Tyree West had that huge hit. Caleb Herring is going to be a factor as well, Blake. He had 2 sacks against Mississippi State. Love to see him get some more playing time. So, yeah, it's just going to be that, because, if our offense gets off to a hard start like we kind of expect, then Arkansas is going to be forced to pass the ball. And honestly, that puts us in better position, Blake, because that is the better half of our defense, is our pass defense, compared to our
Right.
run defense. So that's what I'm gonna. Obviously these units work in unison. So I think if our offense can get off to a hot start, it'll force Taylor Green to drop back. And if you can force him to beat us from the pocket, Blake, then I feel really good about that, because I still, despite Jermon McCoy still being out, I still feel good about Colton Hood and Ty Redmond on the outside playing
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah, we still have a solid secondary, young and somewhat experienced, somewhat lacking in depth, but with Colton Hood, one of the best cornerbacks in the country right now, one of the best defense players in the country, and the electric plays that he's been able to make. Yeah, if we can get him to try to beat us through the air, then even if it were to get into a shootout, I think we're gonna be able to. I like our chances in that scenario, in Neyland and with Aguilar at the helm for sure. So, Austin, any final thoughts on our defense versus their offense before we give our official score predictions?
No, man. Just stop Taylor Green on the ground. Hopefully create some sacks, like I've been pointing out, and I think, again, getting off the hot start off offense should be able to create that, and kind of create that game plan and that game flow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, Austin, let's get into our official score predictions. So, talked about the headlines. Talked about old Bobby Petrino back in the driver's seat. Is it going to give Arkansas a little bit of a bump? Are we going to be able to contain Taylor Green? Bobby Petrino is a great offensive coach, but we are now revitalized on offense ourselves. We have got the fireman at the helm. So it's going to be a game where I like our chances quite a bit, Austin. The question is, are they going to keep it close? Are we going to be able to pull away? What is your official score prediction for the game on Saturday?
52 for the Tennessee Volunteers and 31 for Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to put up points, man. I have to see, because I'm very optimistic about the defense, Blake, and I've been mentioning that to you the last couple of weeks. But we have to see it first. I have to see them actually shut down an offense before I start giving them that credit. And then the offense too. This offense has been electric against everyone they played, and this might legitimately be the worst defense they've played outside of ETSU. So I think the offense will cook. So 52-31.
I love it. I love it. I agree. I want us to continue our streak of scoring 40 or more points in a game. Each game we have scored 40 or more points so far this season. I think that continues. Like you, I think they are going to put up some points. I think they are going to be able to move the ball. That's just the nature of our defense. Unfortunately, I think Bobby Petrino is smart enough. He's going to identify the lackluster run defense. He's going to exploit that with Taylon Green. But ultimately, our offense is going to be too much, too high octane, and our defense is going to get a few key stops, especially when they turn to the passing game, and we're going to be able to win the game handily. My prediction is 45-27. Tennessee Volunteers in Neyland handle Arkansas.
I like it.
Again,
It's a cover.
I think it's a
Good
cover.
teams cover,
I think
Blake.
it's probably that's right. And I think it's going to probably, we might be sweating a little bit at certain points, but I think we are going to eventually get comfortable. And brother, my secondary official prediction is that you will maybe not immediately in the second half, but I think
Okay.
by the fourth quarter you're going to get your elbow room
Oh,
and you're going to
I
be able
hope
to
so.
take your break by the
I
fourth
hope so. I
quarter.
hope it's
So
worse than I predicted. I hope it's 52-3, obviously, but because I
yeah,
mean, listen, I can't get over Arkansas fans chirping during baseball season. They got over us on baseball season, but you still couldn't get the job done when it mattered most, Arkansas. And I'm reminding you that today we are national champions and you are not, unfortunately. Um, And obviously they got over on us in football season too, Blake, and that still pisses me off. Now I blame that less on Arkansas and more on Nico, right? Like that was Nico's
yeah.
fault. He's a complete bum, so that's the reason we lost that game. So I can't even give Arkansas credit for that, even though they might deserve a little bit. But really, it's mostly our bad quarterback. And luckily, we don't have that anymore. We have the fireman, so things are different.
Things are very different on Rocky Top, and we are very thankful for that. But folks, look, if you're new to the Vol Talk channel, you can see that Austin and I we love football. Football is like most people, that's our favorite. But man, baseball is fun around
Oh, I love me
Tennessee
some
nowadays.
baseball. We'll be covering
Love us some
baseball this
baseball.
year, Blake.
We're going to be covering baseball, and of course Arkansas. We've got a little kind of rivalry brewing with Arkansas, and so got to take our shots when we can. And so subscribe to the Vol Talk channel if you love all volunteer sports, including baseball. And if you want to come baseball season, you want to see us chirping again at Arkansas when we once again prove our superiority in baseball as well. Stick around. This is all things volunteer sports on the Vol Talk channel. Austin, it has been a fun episode. So we are back to our regularly scheduled programming. This is the Tuesday preview show of the Arkansas game. We will review the Arkansas game, win or lose. Probably going to be a win, but we're going to review the Arkansas game on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. That will be a live episode, as usual on Sundays. And then, of course, the following Tuesday, we will preview the other red team that we will be playing soon after the Arkansas game. So, folks, again, drop us a comment, jump in the chat if you're watching live, and continue the conversation. Let us know what your score predictions are. But we will see you on the other side of the Arkansas game. Until then, as always, baby, go freaking Vols.
GBO.